If we look at the availability of water, basically, Amartakal, this is a period which started about 1 year back. If we look at the problems of availability of water in the country, I think we can find the solutions as well. There is no issue. And I personally feel, yes, the solutions can be found. We can do it, and we can do it nicely. If you look at water sources of India, we have about 2.4% of the global land mass, and we have 4% of fresh water. So it means we are better endowed than most of the countries in the world. But if we look at spatial variability, so rainfall is the only source of water for us, apart from little water which comes from the snow melt, but that also ultimately is rainfall is the source. So basically, but the Niti Ayog carried out a study in 2019, which says that about 600 million people in the country are facing extreme water stress. 75% of the households lack drinking water on premises. They don't have a tap in their house. About 84% of the rural households do not have piped water access to water piped supply. So agriculture, basically, which is the largest consumer of water, it will have to first meet the human needs, and then we will have to supply water for agriculture. So this stress which is being generated, it will definitely have an impact on agriculture. If you look at the per capita availability of water, it has come down and it is coming down. We are already a water stressed nation, for which the norm is about 1700 meter cube per capita per year, and we are moving towards a situation where definitely the water scarce situation where the norm is about 1100 or rather 1000 meter per person per year. So if we look at the data for the last almost 1000 years from 1950 to 2050, we are fast moving towards being a water scarce country. Challenges for water availability. First is the temporal and spatial variability of average rainfall. We get almost 3/4 of the rainfall in 4 months, 120 days, and in that period also, in almost, you can say, between 20 and 25 days. The dry spells between the rains, sometimes they are so long that even during monsoon we need more electricity and more power to irrigate the agriculture. Further, there is a year-to-year variation in the rainfall. So this variability, it has to be managed, and ultimately it has to be managed only from agriculture sector, which is the largest consumer. Then next problem is shrinking large water storages. We have about 200 more. We have about a total 5,334 dams which have already been constructed, and about 411 are still under construction. The total storage capacity is about 257.8 billion cubic meter. Out of it, annual precipitation of 3,880 BCM, we are able to use surface water to the tune of 690 BCM only. Almost 1/5 of the rainfall is being stored. So the storage is shrinking because of the siltation of dams, as well as because of the shrinking of catchment area. So several basins like in the Indus, Krishna, they are already will be water scarce by 2050, because the remaining utilizable water source will be very difficult to develop because of ecological constraints as well as because of the downstream size. Shrinking canal command areas. From these storage dams, water is conveyed through canals. But if we look at the CAGR of canal irrigated area, which was almost 7.29% up to from independence to 1974, it has come down to about 5.2%. Rather, it has been negative in some of the period starting from 85 to almost 2000. So, gap between irrigation potential and irrigation potential utilized for major and medium systems is very high as compared to minor irrigation. Out of a total irrigated area of about 140 million hectares, 71.5 million hectares is being irrigated, and out of this, about 25% is irrigated through surface water. The remaining is dependent on groundwater for irrigation. Decline and depletion of groundwater sources. Every speaker before me have touched this, because agriculture, groundwater is a major source of irrigation. About 85% of the drinking water supply is dependent on groundwater. And irrigation, for irrigation needs, 64% of the irrigated area is dependent on groundwater. But if we look between the surface water and groundwater, then almost 3/4 of the area is dependent on groundwater. So this table gives a small brief of between last almost 2 decades, what is the groundwater scenario, how it is developing. The number of critical blocks and overexploited blocks where the exploitation of groundwater is more than 90%. That is critical, and where it is more than 100%, that is overexploited. So almost 19% of the blocks which were overexploited in 2004, and now it is 18%, but number of blocks have increased from almost 5,700 to almost 7,100. So 17% of more area is now under in the last two decades has gone under decline of water table. It is data of India. If you further look at the different parts of the country, the northwest region, I have shown it red because stage of groundwater extraction is 153%. This comprises of mostly Haryana, Punjab, Western UP and Rajasthan. And in Punjab, the stage of development is about 165%, 166%. We are taking out almost more than 60% of the water we are withdrawing more as compared to the annual replenishable recharge. But if you look at the South Peninsular area, which consists of Tamil Nadu, Karnataka and Lakshadweep, Pondicherry, there the storage of, even though the stage of groundwater extraction is 70 to 100%, but due to lower recharge, 42% of the units are critical to overexploited. So basically, the areas which are having more food production, they are having more groundwater overexploitation as well. So our food security during the Amrit Kal, definitely, which is dependent on groundwater, definitely it is under threat. This is the situation of Punjab. If you look at from 2000 to 2020, 2 decades, the area with less than 10 meter of water table was 70% in 2000, and it has been reduced to 25% in 2020. Almost 75% of the area is more than 10 meters deep. So this shows that farmers, since all the investment in the groundwater is the private investment by the farmers, so it means every 5 years, 10 years, farmer has to dig a new tube well, he has to get his electric load increased, he has to make investment, and all his income, at least for a 5-acre farmer, all his investment, all his earnings during the last 5 years, it gets invested into the maintenance of irrigation infrastructure only. And further, actually, if these two figures, I have shown the direction of flow. The direction of flow is normally northeast and northeast to southwest. But if you look at at least 2 points, these two, I don't know whether I will be able to show it. No. The direction of flow has changed. Of course, still it has not changed that much that it will lead to the shifting of brackish groundwater from southwestern parts of Punjab to the central parts of Punjab. But definitely the cone of depression has started appearing in Sangrur and Barnala districts, as well as in Moga and Jalandhar districts in Kodra area, where the groundwater development is more than 200%. The direction of flow has started changing, and time is not far when maybe in next 10 years, this is my apprehension, in next 10 years, the groundwater, instead of flowing from north to east, it will start flowing from southwest to central parts of the Punjab. And then with the declining quality of water, definitely it will be very difficult to. Sangrur is our most productive area, highest productivity of wheat, almost 7 tons per hectare, and highest productivity of paddy, almost 9.5 tons per hectare. We produce in this area, we produce almost 16 tons of food grains per hectare. And if this area gets has a problem of groundwater, and almost all and 70 in Punjab, almost 77% of the area is irrigated by groundwater. 23 is by surface water. So definitely the problem is going to happen. And in Amritakal, food security of the country, from at least procurement from Punjab, definitely it will be affected. This shows the inequity in groundwater use. If you look at the figure, in the top portion where it is grey, the power subsidy which has increased from almost 400 crore to 7,200 crores in last 27 years. So that is too early. On the upper portion, it is 200 rupees per hectare, whereas in downstream side it is 2,400 rupees, 24,000 rupees per hectare. The areas, it's red, it's overexploited area also. This is the area where the direction of groundwater flow is also changing. So ultimately, this is the area which is threatened by the declining quality of water. But at the same time, this is the area which is getting the highest subsidy from where farmers are getting highest subsidy from the government. Similarly, if we look at the number of tubewells, these marginal farmers, marginal farmers means farmers which are having less than 1 hectare of land. Out of 10 farmers, only 6 have access to the power connection. They have a tubewell. For those up to 5 acres of land or less than 2 hectare, it's almost 9 farmers out of 10 have tubewell. And for farmers having 5 to 10 acres, it's almost 1.2 tubewells. 10 farmers have 12 tubewells. For 4 to 10 hectares, the medium farmers, they have 16 tubewells. And more than 10 hectares, they have almost 10 farmers have 23 tubewells. This is a data which I got collected from CIPT. So, and we analyzed it. This study was conducted in 141 blocks and 25 farmers each in a village. So whole of the state was covered. So it is a sample of about 3,500 farmers, and this indicates that the marginal farmers, they have started reducing their access to groundwater. Once I was giving this is now All India Radio has started a phone-in program. So I was telling the farmer that you are having free power and you are lucky. Government is spending so much on this. So then there was a question from a farmer in Mukeria. He said, "Sir, you are saying that government is giving free power, government is doing this, but I am a farmer having 1 acre of land. I cannot install a tube well because that is area where the geology doesn't allow an easy construction of tube well. The construction of tube well costs about 3-4 lakhs. He says that I buy water for paddy at the rate of 7,600 rupees per acre for my 1 acre of crop." So that the groundwater markets also are becoming exploitative, and the farmers, the more the number of small farmers, the more will be the inequity, as well as more will be the distortions in the groundwater markets. Then climate change, everybody has discussed. IPCC assessment report says that temperature is rising, and they say that highest increase is in at least 2000 years. Then CO2 concentration, it has increased from 2,400 gigatons till 2019. This is again highest during the last 2 million years. Sea level rise 3.7 minimum millimeter per year in the last 12 years, 2006 to 2018. So which is fastest rate in 3000 years. Arctic Sea oblique ice area, again this is fastest in last 1000 years. And glacial retreat, unprecedented in at least 2000 years. So all the water sources are being affected by the climate change, and it is causing substantial damages to and irrevocable losses to terrestrial water, fresh water, coastal ecosystems, as well as ocean ecosystems. So how we deal with the climate change, it will affect the availability of water during the Amrit Kal. The predictions for 2030, the indicates overall warming of all regions causing higher water needs. Minimum temperature, both minimum and maximum temperature are projected to rise. All regions are projected to experience an increase in precipitation by 2030 as compared to 1970, and maximum increase will be in Himalayan region. So most of the cloudburst areas will be this Himachal and Jammu Kashmir and this Western UP catchment, and people will be facing droughts as well as floods simultaneously. Sea level rise, again it is 1.3 millimeter per year. In future it is likely to be in consonance with the global increase. Water yield is projected to increase, but it will be variable from different regions. Then the last but not the least, they say that all regions are likely to experience flooding, and more than 10 to 30% of the existing magnitude. So most of this water will be flowing down until the rivers are dammed, otherwise it will flow to sea. It will be of no use to us. At the same time, it will cause loss of human life and livelihoods. So climate change, definitely it is going to be a big problem for us. The future water requirements. Other critical challenges faced by water sector. Low water productivity. Recently, Mr. Kaushik was talking about low water productivity. The water productivity of paddy in Punjab and Haryana is about 0.2 kg per meter cube. It's too low, and it can be improved. Definitely, it can be improved. Wastewater and water pollution, as per estimates of this Central Pollution Control Board, about 356 stretches of rivers are polluted. 12,356 kilometers of rivers are polluted or contaminated due to release of toxic substances, which is 5 times the length of Ganges, main stem of Ganges. So that is the level of surface water pollution. Third is that water is a state subject, but it has transboundary issues. We have problems with Pakistan. We have, then the states themselves have problems between them. Already Satluj Jamuna link between Punjab and Haryana, Kaveri water between Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. And these are going to increase because upstream states are definitely exploiting these water of these rivers more and more without caring for the downstream side states. Then inadequate institutional reforms and effective implementation of existing regulations, growing financial crunch, upgrading the existing water infrastructure. Again, the financial world water vision was worked out in 2025 by the Global Water Partnership and South Asia Technical Committee, and their estimates are that we need rupees 5,000 billion in next 25 years to upgrade the irrigation infrastructure to maintain our water availability. It means about 200 billion rupees every year, and that too at 1997 prices. So this water sector requires a lot of funds if we want to upgrade it and if we want to meet our food requirements by the end of Amritkal and beyond it. Estimated water requirements, domestic sector which was having a requirement of about 43 BCM, it will increase to 111, an increase of almost 2.4% in next by the end of Amritkal, we can say. Similarly, industry 2.6% from 37 to 81. Agriculture again an increase. So the total water requirement will increase from 710 to 1180 BCM. Whereas our presently water availability is almost 1127 BCM, and which is declining day after day and year after year. If we have to meet the food gain requirement of country by BC of Punjab, that is 450 million tons which is expected, we have to do it, and we have to do it with less and less quantity of water, as well as with that too of marginal quality. Agriculture will get marginal waters, recycled waters in the times to come, because the requirement of domestic as well as industrial sector, it has a higher value for water productivity as compared to agriculture. We have tried a water vision for Punjab, but I have tried to do it for India also. Provision of safe and adequate water for all economic sectors, domestic, agriculture and industries, while rejuvenating the rivers, aquifers and ecology for a climate resilient transformative development to develop a water secure India. This sentence includes everything, but this sentence requires rupees 5,000 billion for next 25 years. UNDP, UNICEF in its 2000 report in 2013 had given some various perspectives for achievement of water security. So firstly, The rights perspective, it is already so many decisions by Supreme Court that water is a fundamental right. Of course, to date, it is only for drinking water. Then, social perspective, we have already discussed. There has to be equity among rural and urban population and between the communities. Even in cities, the slums get water for 2 hours and the elite accommodations areas get water for 6 hours. And water scarcity in the cities is also increasing. Bengaluru, we have studied for the last 2 months, it is in the news due to the drinking water scarcity. Then equity in gender availability, so that it is easily available. The women have to not to do arduous work. They do not have to walk long distances to fetch water. Then community perspective, that there should be active participation of the community. And the largest one and the most uncared for is the state government perspective, that we should have proper water policies, legislation. All the states have now enacted the acts for and established water source regulatory authorities, but none of the states has included agriculture in their jurisdiction. So the sector which consumes uses about 60 to 70% of water, it's beyond regulation as on today. Similarly, resolving of different conflicts, enforcing quality standards, concerns for ecology, all these are the initiatives which has to be areas which have to be looked after by the state government. And supporting use of innovation in science and technology. Just now we were listening about digital agriculture and all those things. Then economic perspective, which is being said since so many past time, that water should be an economic good. It should be priced properly. It should be utilized efficiently. So all these perspectives has to be taken care of, and only then we can achieve this, our food security as well as water security for our country. Agricultural water use, I think everybody is aware about it. Improving the land and water productivity in agriculture, align cropping systems, agro ecosystems. Actually, in 2013, ICAR carried out a study where they found out the different areas, ecologically benign areas for different crops. Yes, it can be a solution, but at the same time, water is a state subject, and secondly, agriculture is also a state subject. So, if changes to there, if it has to be taken into concurrent list, whether these states will agree to it or not, it's $1 million question. Then leveraging science and technology and policies for efficient water use in agriculture. Being a largest user, agriculture has to give water, release water for other sectors, domestic as well as industrial, because they have a higher economic return per unit of water consumed. Groundwater sources, yes, it has to be managed. The overexploited areas has to be handled properly, and this overexploitation has to be reduced to some extent. At least in Punjab, half of the farmer suicides are because of debt, and those of debt, 90% are because of expenditure on irrigation infrastructure. If a tunnel of a farmer fails, which is having less than 5 acres of land, he cannot repair it. And if he repairs it and he gets a loan, his returns are not such that he can return the loan. And ultimately he pays whole of his earnings to the person who is lending him. And moreover, institutional finance is not available. It is scarce. He already has exhausted all the resources which are available to him. Then we have to work on the rain-fed areas as well, because rain-fed areas, about 50% of the area is rain-fed, and it also provides almost 45% of the food grains or agriculture production to us. So in those areas, rainwater harvesting, all other things, small initiatives, they have to be taken so that we can overcome our use. Finally, I have said, and I used to say it, I am saying it for the last 20 years, that our problem of water is a problem of governance. It's not, it can be managed. It can be managed by changing the approaches to water management. It can be changed with responsive political leadership, and it can be changed if water is everybody's concern. Crop diversification didn't fail in Punjab. It was basically the requirement of Government of India for food grains that always forced us, as and when we started the work of on crop diversification, even though Government of India funded it. But the first report on crop diversification came in 1986, which was a state government initiative. And in 1987, there was a drought. We swept all our warehouses and washed it, and the India ate it. 2006 was the second diversification report, and 2007 was a drought year, 2008 was a drought year. Sar is sitting here. He gave us also the money to overcome it. And my chief secretary said in the meeting where he was present that whenever Government of India has its stores empty, they give us a red carpet welcome, and whenever they have their grains stores full, they treat us like outcasts. Then again, we started this diversification. There was a report in 2013, but 2014 and 15, I was a member secretary of that report, that committee, which gave the state agriculture, prepared agriculture policy. 2014-15 again was drought years, and Government of India told us that you spend the money on crop diversification, but you give us the grain. Then 2018, he prepared this report. I was a member secretary. But again, 19, 20, then this is 20 came this COVID, and after COVID, total food grains, again food diversification. Actually, the state agricultural policy cannot be separated from the national requirements. For 20 years, I have been head of department, and in these 20 years, at least 5 times, I have a letter from Sharad Pawar ji. Though he gave us 200 crores for crop diversification, and he said that please give us this much wheat, and they imported 5 million tons of wheat. In 2008, they increased the MSP of paddy as well as wheat by almost 150 rupees, and it was a priceful increase in the production. They did it, and when their stores were full, from 1999, 2000 to 2004, 2005, there was a total increase in 5 years of 50 rupees, and in 1 year, 2002, 3 and 3, 4, there was no increase in MSP. It is their policy. Whenever they want to get the food grains produced, they either increase the MSP or do whatever they want, but they get it. This year, Harveer was discussing with us that what has happened to MP wheat.
Production is down.
Production is down. Yes, production is down, and secondly, farmers have retained it because of higher price. The wheat in Punjab was selling on 31st March. Wheat was selling at rupees 2650 per quintal, and on after 1st April, when procurement started, it was at MSP, and after 31st of May, again it will sell at I think more than 2500 rupees. Well, I have kept retained all my wheat, and I have told all the people that who can retain, they should retain, because at least there will be off-season increase in prices. So problem is, yes, we want to diversify, but the policies, national policies, and Punjab cannot be. I told my chief minister once, last sentence, that we should do. We were discussing this market taxes. So I told Amrinder Singh, Mega sir, we should do away with the taxes and we will say it will be dynamic and we will decide it from year to year, because 2007 was a drought year, 2008 was again a drought year. So I told him that when there is a drought year and government of India needs grains, we will charge 20% taxes on food grain procurement, and otherwise we will charge zero, no problem. So he said, we are not to separate from India. Thank you.